Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about transit Mars sextile or trine one's natal Neptune. Now, this transit may manifest in courage and actions and initiative, drive, motivation, and energy. This could be in harmony with one's dreams and fantasies. I'm going to elaborate and expound on that. What I'm saying is, well, it's time when you have this transit to have the courage to go after your dreams at this time, your fantasies. If you have, if you have your natal Neptune, say it's in Sagittarius, it might be big, grandiose dreams, or it could be dreams of being a sports athlete or a publisher, or even working as a printing press operator, somebody in exploration or adventure. Now, anything connected with Sagittarius, as an example, can also be, a time to, when you have this transit, it's also having the energy and the vitality to pursue those dreams and fantasies at this time, and in taking action on them. Now, it's also a time, when you have this, it's also having that drive and the energy and motivation to go after the things that your ideals and what you feel is ideal for you. Neptune is in the fourth house. It could be, having a home, family, having or maybe just having the ideal home and family situation as an example. And the thing about this is, some people may wonder, well, what's the difference between this transit and the transit Mars making a conjunction on one's natal Neptune? Well, they're similar, but the thing about it is when you have the conjunction, it's more about intensification of energy. You have one planet making the contact with the other, and it's also when you have it could really be either putting too much energy into dreams and fantasies, as an example, or to attaining that, or it might actually dissolve the energy to some degree when you have the conjunction, because Neptune is about dissolving and dissipation. But when you have this transit where you have the transit of Mars making a sextile or trine to your natal Neptune, well, that could be about having that right amount of energy and motivation and vitality to pursue the ideals, the dreams, and the fantasies at this time, and also having the energy and vitality if there is something that needs to be dissolved. If you have your Neptune, natal Neptune in the seventh house, it could be a situation with a marriage partner or a legal matter. This is an opportune time to do so. Now, another thing too is it's also a time where your actions are flavored well with inspiration, and you're more inspired at this time, more so than usual, to have to be able to take action on matters. It's also a time too, if you have this transit. It's anatomically Neptune is associated with the feet, the toes, and the lymphatic and immune system. So at this time, it could be more of a time to take action on those matters. If you have any issues that I described that are anatomically associated with Neptune, or even surgery, because Mars is connected with surgery, and it might be an auspicious time for surgery on one of those body parts that I just described connected with Neptune. Could also be a time as well, and also having the courage to be able to see what maybe you're wrong with one of those things as well, that I just described associated with Neptune. Now, could also be the time where if you have to confront somebody being deceptive or duplicitous, it could be a propitious time to do so. You're having a good relationship of the planet Mars in transit with natal Neptune at this time. If somebody needs to be confronted regarding deceptive or duplicitous behavior, say for example, if your natal Neptune is in the fifth house, it could be a child or a lover, as an example. If it's in, say, if the natal Neptune is in Scorpio, your fifth house. It could be also flavored with somebody that may be manipulative as well, and deceptive, and because all that kind of rolled right in. So that could be that could be a serious situation that you maybe had to deal with, but you can it's more about having the courage to be able to deal with the situation at this time, more so than usual. Now, also too, this could also be a time to expend energy in isolation. It could be simply hitting a punching bag in solitude or seclusion, or doing some kind of, it could just simply be doing some kind of work where you're isolated and you're by yourself at this time. Whether you may be involved in construction, or you're doing some kind of home remodeling or renovation. This is that time where it would be more of an opportune time to do to be able to do this work and not be disturbed at this time, or have little diversions or distractions in doing so. And even it's also having energy and the drive and the motivation to do things that are associated, like fields associated with Neptune, whether it could be poetry or dancing or photography, the metaphysical, which includes astrology. It could be fishing or working on boats or docks, as some other examples. And also too, Neptune being connected with imprisonment and incarceration. It can be a time where, with Mars, with its positive transit, if you're dealing with somebody that is imprisoned or has been incarcerated or imprisoned, it may be the time where you could be direct with this person regarding those issues. Now, if you've had any issues with that, this is the time I would say, to be able to be open and honest and direct, even with yourself, about those matters, and why did these things take place? What are you going to do, to combat this in the future, to make sure you don't get into trouble again, and you don't wind up being in a situation where you're incarcerated in some isolated cases. Now, the fact again that Neptune is connected with dissolving and dissipation, it can be a time where it's about having the courage and the fortitude to be able to dissolve and dissipate something at this time, more so than usual. Again, whether it could be a marriage situation or a home family situation, or even a business that you're involved in that may not be going anywhere, or a career related matter. And also to deal if there's any chaos or confusion in your life, it's time where you'd be more apt to take action regarding this. Say if you have your natal Neptune in the fourth house, if there's something nebulous or unclear regarding your ancestry, or even a family member or home member that you're currently staying with, this could be the time to take the action to be able to sort out any confusion or anything that may be nebulous or unclear in this situation. And also, Neptune is associated with drugs and alcohol. So if anybody's having this transit and they're dealing or having to contend with an alcohol or drug addiction at this time, remember Neptune is also connected with addictions in general. This is the time to have more of that courage and fortitude to take action in those matters, more so than many other transits. And if you're somebody that has a problem with what I described, drugs or alcohol, or you have a friend or a family member even that's involved in this is the time where it's more about where you can be more of assistance and having the courage to go to these people and tell them that they need to start doing things to combat the situation and face up to what is actually going on with them. And I would say there's less, because it's a positive aspect, there's less likelihood of repercussions faced for doing so. And now, anyway, another way this transit may manifest, it could be having the drive and motivation, which is Mars in pursuing dreams and fantasies, which is Neptune. If, let's say, for example, the natal Neptune is in Aquarius in the 8th house, It could be doing something with computers, which is Aquarius. Forensics, which is the 8th house. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, or it could be doing something jokingly. I'm being flippant with this. How about a bionic, which is Aquarius transformation, which is the 8th house? I'm only joking, but anyway. Now it could also be a time where the you know, it's, another thing is, now let's say for example, another way this transit may manifest or be expressed, it could be where a sexual partner, which is Mars, could be more in harmony, in agreement with your ideals, which is Neptune. Now, let's say, for example, if the natal Neptune is in Capricorn in the 11th house, it could be doing something that's very consistent, which is Capricorn in terms of pursuing goals and aspirations, and that's the 11th house, or doing something very consistent. It could be with astrology or computers as another example. For the 11th house. Now it's also a time where it could be very auspicious to take action, which is Mars, in rescuing, which is Neptune. If let's say for example, if the natal Neptune is in Sagittarius in the let's say it's in the 12th house, it could be exuberantly, which is Sagittarius, helping those less fortunate, which would include the oppressed, the hungry, the homeless, and the impoverished, and that's the 12th house. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.